welcome to the Viking Home Companion. I'm Torvald Torgarson, and I have another story for you from the good old days. Now this is actually a pretty long story, because while it only deals with a single event, it deals with an event across 3-year span. And this is what I refer to as the West An Tir Sheep Saga. Now, the saga begins in 1988, and for some particular reason that year, they had to move the date of the West An Tir War. Now, normally the war is held on the 4th of July weekend, and for some reason this year it got moved up into June. And as a result, very, very few of Western heavy fighters made it up there that year. In fact, there was only a total of 37 Western heavy fighters, and I don't recall if we had any light fighters, archers, or javeliniers at all. And that was facing off against over 120 An Tiran warriors. And we ended up fighting native forces the entire day. Now, I've already done a good old day story that deals with some of the battles at that particular war. So I'm not going to go into it here, because that's not really what this particular story is about. So what ended up happening, though, was the West managed to win 2 battles that day, and lost all the rest. We just got totally overwhelmed because, as I said, we played native forces the whole day, and 37 versus 120 plus, the 37 are typically going to lose. But we still had a pretty good time. But at the end of the war, a group of us Westerners were sitting around the campfire, and we were trying to come up with a story that explained how we managed to win the war. Now, obviously, we didn't win, okay? But there's a thing about the SCA where any excuse for a war, okay? And so our wars are always planned out ahead of time. I mean, we often know the date of when we're going to have a war, whether it's local, kingdom-wide, or inter-kingdom, like West An Tir is inter-kingdom. And so there isn't any real particular reason sometimes other than we have a date to go fight against people we don't fight with very often. So we always try to come up with some kind of shtick, some kind of reason for having the war. And it usually involves banter between the crowns, the kings of each kingdom, or some of the other royalty from each kingdom. Well, that just didn't happen this year in '88. So we didn't have a good excuse for having the war. We just showed up and fought. So the idea here was to have a story that not only explained how we won the war, but to set up as an excuse for the next year's war. Now, I credit Duke James Greyhelm with having come up with the initial brainstorming suggestion. And I got a hold of it, and I expanded on it, and I ran with it. And I ended up writing a song about it, a folk song. I used the tune from a song called The Jogger by Bobby Bear. And so when I went down to the West again, I spent the whole year performing this song to try and drum up support for people to come up to the next year's war so that we had more people attend. So the war in '88 was held at the Reservoir Park in Eugene, Oregon, which actually was a pretty good site. I really enjoyed that one. Now, what I didn't know then, it was scheduled to happen again in '89 at the same location, okay? Normally, the West and An Tir traded off. You know, one year it's up in An Tir, the next year it's down in the West. And so, for some reason, though, they decided An Tir was going to host it a second year, maybe because there was such poor showing from the West Kingdom for '88. So in '89, it was going to once again be at the Reservoir Park in Eugene. So, any rate, as I said, I came up with this song, and I performed it all over the West. I'm going to perform it for you in just a minute. Performed it all over the West, to drum up support to get more people up there in '89. Now, unknown to me, there was somebody visiting from An Tir at an event that I was at performing this song. And it was at night at a campfire, and he had brought a recorder, a cassette recorder. Remember, this is back in '89 now. He brought a cassette recorder, and it was hidden in a basket, and he would bring it, and he would sit it down, and he would record all of the songs at that Bardic fire, and then take them back up and share them with his friends. Well, he got my song, and he took it up with him, and he played it up in An Tir, and apparently it got around. So let me perform that song for you before I move on to the next part of this. Now, I fought in many wars through the years, Caid, Adenvelt, Callantir, laid them all out, sword and axe and halberd. Outlands, middle realm, eastern too, it didn't make a difference, I just ran them through, but I never had a reason to stop and laugh till An Tir. Well, we stood in the woods that bright spring morn, our swords were out and our armor on, and out in the plains stood our foes from An Tir. Well, there were 5 of them to every one of us, and I could hear my friends all starting to fuss, and if someone didn't think of something quick, we all were goners. Well, Duke James started thinking, and he said, now then, a little ways back there were some shepherd men, and with a little bit of bribing, we'd get them all to help us. See, we all knew how the saying goes when the women are scarce in the lands of snow, that it isn't a dog, it's a man's best friend at all. So with a couple of cases of Henry's best, we soon had all the shepherds at rest, and a herd of those fleecy critters out before us. Then back to the field we went again with our secret weapon and drunken herdsmen, where our foes are waiting for us to come out and die. Well, with a signal of now from our Duke James, who pushed those sheep out onto the plain with a battle cry, they charged the An Tir line. And I remember that sight till my dying day, the looks of shock, surprise, and dismay that struck the An Tir line from end to end. And while I was laughing upon the ground at the sight of those men all running around, just trying to catch their soft and woolly friends, Duke James and the rest snuck round the inn where Steingrim stood screaming at his men, calmly laid him upon the ground and ran. Well, that's the story, take it or leave it. My pinhole buddies, they all believe it, so do the rest of the souls who saw it all. But I'll remember that sight, my friends, I say, of the full moon showing during the light of day, and I'll raise a tankard to shepherds, one and all. So that's the song. So in 1989, the war was once again up in Eugene at the reservoir. We all got up there, and there was a much better showing from the West that year. We had close to 90 guys. There were still 120 plus of the An Tirans, but 90 versus 120 isn't as big a discrepancy. And we all had a pretty good time. And I do have other stories that I'll be telling about that particular war too. But for now, I have to backtrack a little bit as to something that occurred in '88, because it kind of set up what ends up happening here in '89, just a little. 2 of the battles that were fought in '89 were called shore landings. Now in the SCA, what a shore landing is we have a line on the battlefield that's designated as the shoreline. And the invading force has to come up on their knees until they get across that line, and then they can stand up to fight. So this basically gives the defending force a bit of an advantage. We're more mobile, we've got a higher elevation angle for attacking, it makes it more difficult for the enemy. So we still ended up losing both battles, but they were still kind of fun. Now, I was in command of the right flank of the army. The thing about '89 was that none of the Western royalty made it up there that year. The king, the crown prince, none of the princes from any of the principalities or their heirs, no one. And so command of the army had been given to Duke James Greyhelm. So he controlled the center with the unit of Griffin's Guard, and the left flank was under the command of Tribe Rachmana, and I believe, I can't remember if Duke Rolf was there or not, but Rachmaninoff had the left flank, and then I was given command of the right flank with basically anybody I could scrounge up. So I had the three of us from the Vinhold War Junkies that had made it up there, myself, Michael the Farlander, and Wolfred. And then I had a couple of guys from Emerald Towers. I had somebody from Southern Shores. I may have even had somebody from Espen or Windy Meads. But we had enough guys to fill out a full unit to handle the right flank. Now, lucky for me, almost all of us had a fair amount of experience, and so we gelled together as a unit pretty well. So during the first shore landing, they did not allow archery or thrown weapons. It was just heavy fighters only. So I decided that on the right flank, that I would have all of the shield men step about 3 paces back or so from the edge of the shoreline and let all of us with the pole weapons, especially the spears or pikes, which are 9 feet long, to stand at the shoreline, giving us just a little bit more range to attack as the Antirans were advancing. The unit in front of us, which was the Antiran left flank, was Sir Torgal. I'm not sure if he was a duke at that point, but he was definitely a knight. But Sir Torgal and his Huscarls. So we were looking at an elite unit in front of us, okay? So they're advancing on their knees. They've got themselves set up in a shield wall. I'm fighting with a spear pike, so I'm up on the edge of the shoreline. And as they advance, they call the lay on. They start advancing. Now, I, of course, cannot pick Torgal out of this lineup. They're all shields edge to edge. All I see are helmets, okay? I don't even see belts, so I can't target a knight because I can't see if he's a knight or not. And I didn't know Torgal well enough to be able to pinpoint him in his armor. All I saw was there was a guy in the middle of the line who seemed to be giving orders, and so he became my target. And as he got to range, I shot out, and I don't know how I did it, but I caught him flat-footed. He didn't block it, and I hit him right square in the nose. He dropped over. So the first shot that I threw in that battle killed Sir Torgal, the commander of the Huscarl unit, on their left flank. So eventually, they're coming up a little slower, but whatever unit on the right flank of the Antiran line was, it managed to overwhelm Tribe Rachmaninoff, rolled the end, came on down the backside, and basically just got us all bottled up and stomped us into the ground. So the next battle, which is another shore landing, they allowed there to be archers and thrown weapons, javelins and hand axes. And so I put the shieldmen up on the front of the line, on the shoreline, with us pikes and stuff behind it, so we'd have some cover from the flying stuff. And I'm standing, looking over the shoulder of one of my guys, and once again, Torgal and his unit is coming right up at us. And I can't hit the same guy. He's buttoned up pretty good, but I noticed the guy to his left, my right, is leading with his shield just enough that I took a quick step over between my two guys, fired over and hit that guy in the ribs, and then as he went over, I just did a quick recock and fired a second time, so I slid right off of that guy's chest and hit Torgal right in the chest and took him out again. So 2 battles in a row, I took out Sir Torgal. We 3 members of the barony of Vinhold that were up there that day, the Vinhold War Junkies, we managed to account for taking Sir Torgal out of 5 of the 8 battles that were fought that day at the war. I got him twice in the shore landings. Michael got him once in the bridge battle that I have another story of. And he got him once in a castle battle, and then Wolfred got him once out in one of the woods battles. So the 3 of us managed to take out Sir Torgal 5 times that day. So, going back now to 89, we're all standing around waiting for things to get going. They call up a quick court, which is essentially just a listen up. It's where the kings and the marshals in charge are letting us know about any kind of rules that have been agreed to between the 2 sides, because sometimes the combat standards are a little different between various kingdoms. And they explain what scenarios we're going to fight and things like that. So as they get finished with all of the real business, the King of An Tir steps out and he goes, "Who wrote that song?" And virtually everybody kind of looks around a little bit, and all of the guys from Vinhold take a step back, leaving me standing there out in the open. And I kind of just, and the king goes, "Guys, that's him. That's the sheep guy." So now I got a big target painted on me for the entire kingdom of An Tir because of the song that I wrote. Well, something that I didn't know was that some of my friends had gone to an adult XXX novelty store and bought a number of those inflatable love yous, as in female sheep. Plastic female sheep that are anatomically correct. At any rate, they take these sheep and they tape them onto the end of their spears, pikes, and march with them out to battle. Now, during the opening battle was an open field battle, but it had a river that ran through it. Now, the river had a bridge and it had a ford. The difference between the two is that the bridge you can walk across standing up on your feet. A ford you have to wade through, and to simulate wading through the water you have to go across it on your knees. The Vinhold War Junkies, which were there pretty much as a whole group. There was me and Garth of Windhaven and Gregory Falconheart and Joffrey of Griffinhold. I'm not sure if Vlasta, my squire brother, was there. Pretty sure Michael was there. So we pretty much had the whole group there this time. And I'm actually in command of the unit, and I'm fighting with my pike again, and we're given the position of guarding the fort. So as we're waiting for the lay on, we're just standing there at the edge of the ford, and across from us is, guess who? Duke Torgal and his Huskarls. Again, I'm not sure if he's a duke at that point. I know he's a duke now, but I'm not sure if he was a duke back at that point. But at any rate, Torgal and his Huskarls are on the other side of the ford from us. And as we're standing around just waiting for them to get started, I hear this, "I remember you!" And all of us kind of look at each other, and there's Torgal over there going, No, I remember you! You! In the scale, with the pike! I remember you! I have fairly distinctive armor. Anybody that has seen pictures of me in my armor, I'm wearing a hardened leather scale coat that covers me from here to my knees. And there's only 2 other people in the kingdom at the time that were wearing scale coats. My knight, Sir Joffrey, who I kind of modeled mine off of, and then a knight named, oh man, he's going to kick me if I don't get this right. I think it was Ellerin was his name. But Joffrey had modeled his scale off of that person. So I like this, and he goes, "Yeah, you! I remember you from last year!" I'm like, oh, great. Not only do I have people gunning for me because I wrote that sheep song, I've got him gunning for me because I took him out of 2 battles last year, right away. So, when they yell the lay on, there actually is a way to get around the river, other than the bridge and the fjord. Now, we didn't know this, at least initially at the first time, and I think maybe they even corrected it after this battle. But essentially what happened is when they yelled lay on, Torgal took off to his left, running upriver. And he got out into the woods and went around the end of the river and then came back, running down the back side. Now, I don't notice this. As soon as they yell lay on, we move up to the edge of the fjord. I got the shieldmen out in front, locked together, and the Huskarls and Vinhold are just looking at each other. Nobody really wants to get into the water. We were given an order to hold our position. We were not given an order to attack. So we've got no reason to try to get in the water and force our way across. The Huscarls were apparently waiting for Torgal, even though we didn't know that. So Torgal comes sprinting down the backfield. I just barely see him in time to go, "Crap, incoming!" And I turn and I get my pike down, but I don't manage to catch him, and he jumps on me, pounds me into the ground. But as he's jumping on me, Sir Gregory and Sir Joffrey jump him. And so, several battles that day, Torgal would once again manage to get around one end or the other and come sprinting down after me, so I got really good at keeping my head on a swivel. And every time I saw him coming, I'd yell, "Incoming," and then I'd shuttle down the line, and then a couple of our guys would move out to intercept him. He still caught me a couple of times and pounded me pretty good, and it was all in fun. I'm not saying that he was doing anything wrong by targeting me. It was all in fun, and I took it that way. Along with all the other lumps I took that day from other folks that were after the sheep guy. Especially with my friends running around with those sheep, at least for the first battle or two. After that, they were pretty thrashed. So that was 88 and 89. In 1990, the war was held down in California, in the West Kingdom, at Crescent City. Which is right up on the coast, just barely over the border from Oregon. Great site. We were close to the ocean, had a nice cool breeze coming in. There was some sand dunes. There was a forest area. It was a really nice site. I enjoyed it there. So my friends had once again brought some of those inflatable love views with them this year. And they brought with them a can of helium. Now the thing is though, these love views are not balloons. They're not made out of lightweight rubber. They are adult toys and they're made out of PVC plastic. It's inflatable, but it's heavy. The helium was not strong enough to lift them and actually get them to float in the air. What it did do, though, was make them kind of, divers will understand this, it kind of made them weight neutral, okay? So it's like when you're scuba diving, you have a weight belt on. The weight belt is meant to counteract your buoyancy and keep you neutral in the water. And that's kind of what happened with these sheep. They didn't float in the air, but they kind of drifted along on the ground. And on Saturday morning, at dawn, some of my friends inflated those love views with the helium, realized they weren't going to float, and let them go, and the breeze from the ocean caused them to kind of roll and drift across the dunes, and somebody looked out and yelled very loudly, "Look, An Tir Valkyries!" I spent a lot of time running away from people once again on that particular war because, as I said, my armor's a little distinctive. And anybody that was there the previous 2 years knew exactly what they were referring to. So that is the West An Tir Sheep Saga. I hope that this has given you all a chuckle. It certainly still gives me a chuckle nowadays. Yeah, sure, you betcha.